Packages are used to group multiple entities together based on technical or functional specifications. Okay, and if you want to avoid naming collisions, multiple entities with the same name, then we can keep those multiple entities with the same name in different packages to avoid the naming collisions. Okay, those are the two advantages of packages. And a class of the entity of one package can be used in another package, okay, if that entity is public and if it is imported. Okay, how we can write the import means import space the package structure dot the entity name, or even we can give star. If you give star, then all the entities under the packages under that package will be imported, but it's not advisable to to use star while importing, just because unnecessarily it will import all the entities even though we are not using all the entities of that package. So we should use the specific entity, okay, we should use the specific class while importing. Rather than going for a generic import using star, we should import individual classes. It's an advisable approach. Okay, that's what we have discussed yesterday. And if you want to import an entity, okay, if you want to import an entity, then the entity should be public. And within the package, we need not to have an import statement. Okay, the members or the entities of a package can be used within the same package even though they are in different .java files. Even though they are in different .java files, the entities defined in one .java file can be used in another .java file directly without importing if they are in the same package. If they are in different package, definitely the entity should be public and it should be imported. Okay, and not only for entities, even for the members of the entities, the access levels are verified. See, the class address is having street name and door number. Okay, if I use the class address in person.java like this, now will it be compiled? Will it be compiled? Will it be compiled? Yes or no? What is the package of person? Com HCU pack another. What is the package of address? Com HCU pack demo. But can I use this class inside person? Yes or no? No, definitely no. Just because the access level of address is default and it cannot be used inside other package. See, the access level of address is default and it cannot be used in other packages. Okay, so like this, if we have an entity and which is not public, then that entity cannot be used outside the package. Not even for entities, it will be applicable even for the members of entities. Okay, if the member is not public, then it cannot be used outside the package. It will be applied for entities and even for the members of entities. Now, let me consider that we have a public class person, and in the public class person we have a constructor. We have a constructor. Now, we are using this constructor person p equal to new person, and we have something. Okay. Now, let us see. Okay, first telling the person is not public in com.history.pack. Another person. Now, which is not public? Which is not public here? What is telling? What the compiler is telling? Person followed by parenthesis is not public. That means the constructor in the person class is not public, but we are using the constructor in other package. So, not even for the classes, for attributes, methods, and even constructors, the access levels are verified. The access levels are verified for entities as well as for the members of entities. Okay? The access levels are verified for entities as well as for members of entities. As well as for members of entities. So let me consider that I am not creating the constructor. Now, will it be acceptable? If I am not creating the constructor, now will it be acceptable? Yes or no? Now, if we have not created a constructor for person class, now the compiler will create a constructor for person class. The compiler created will be a public non-augmented constructor. The constructor which is created by the compiler will be a public non-augmented constructor. So, even if it is used outside the package, it will not give a problem. But if the constructor is generated by us, then the access level will be default. But the constructor access level is default, but we are using this constructor outside the package, which is not allowed. Okay? So, if you are using the constructor outside the package, then you should make it public. Then only it will be acceptable. Understood? Now, public members can cross the package. Okay? Public members can cross the package if the entity is imported. This was compiled successfully. Public members can cross the package if that entity, if the class is imported. Okay? If you want to make use of public members of one class, one package in another package means first the class should be public, okay, and even the member also should be public. Then only we can access them outside the package. Okay? Understood? Now, we have discussed what is private. Okay? Private is the access level which is used to restrict the members to that entity. Now, can I access the private members of one entity in another entity? No, it's impossible to use private members of one entity in another entity, even though they are in the same .java file. Irrespective, whether they are in the same .java file or different, whether it's the same in the same package or different, it's irrespective. The public members of one entity cannot be used in another entity. That's for sure. Sorry, the private members of one entity cannot be used in another entity. Now, let's come to default. Okay? The default access level can be there. Now, can we have private access level for entities? Can we have private access level for entities, class or interface or enum? Private is not allowed for class or interface or enum. Okay? Now, let's come to the next access level, default. Okay, default or even package. Okay, the package access level members. The package access level is allowed for entities, that means class, interface, enum, as well as to the members of entities. Okay, the which one? Package. The package access level is allowed for class, interface, and enum, as well as the package access level is allowed for the members of a class. Just because for members of interface it will be public. The package or default will not be allowed. Only public will be there for interface attributes or interface methods. So, for the package access level is allowed for classes, interfaces, enums, as well as the members of a class. Members means attributes, methods, and constructors of a class. Package access level is allowed for classes, interfaces and enums, as well as for the members of a class. Members of a class in the sense attributes, methods and constructors of a class. What's it? Understood? And if the access level of a class is public, the access level of a class is default or package. The access level of a class is default or package, then that class should be used within the boundaries of the package. It cannot cross the boundaries of the package. At any case, a package access level class cannot cross the boundaries of the package. It should be used only within the package. Now, if the class is public and if the attribute is private, if the class is public and if the attribute is public, if the class is public and if the attribute is public, can I use that attribute outside the package? Yes. If the class is default and the attribute is public, can I use that attribute outside the package? No. If the class is public and the attribute is default, can I use that attribute outside the package? If the class is public and the attribute is default, can I use the class outside the package? That's why listen to the question that I am asking. If the class is public and the attribute is default, can I use that class outside the package? If the class is public, attribute is default, can I use that class outside the package? Yes. The class can be used outside the package, but the attribute should not be used. If the class is public and attribute is default, the attribute should not be used outside the package. Still, the class can be used outside the package. So listen to the question. Okay? Now, the default access levels for classes, interfaces and enums, as well as the members of classes and enums are packaged. The default access levels or the default access level for classes, interfaces, enums and the members of classes and enums is default. For classes, interfaces and enums and the members of classes and enums, the default access level is package or default. And public. The public access level member can cross the boundaries of the package. The member with public access level can cross the boundaries of the package. It can be used even outside the package, but on one condition, that the entity should be public and it is imported in other packages. On one condition, that the entity should be public. Here, if I want to use person number outside the package, then that entity, the class person should be public and it should be imported in another package. First, if you want to use the members of a class in other package, then the class itself should be public and the members should be public, as well as the class should be imported. The class should be public and even the member that we want to use should be public and the class should be imported. Then only we can use that member outside the package. So if you want to make use of some members outside the package, then in general we make them public. Okay, and the next thing we have discussed what is private, what is default, and what is public. Okay, now the last thing that we are going to discuss is protected. Okay, protected has a special meaning and special rules when compared to other access levels. The access levels define the boundaries of usage of the members. Okay, the access levels define the boundaries to use the members. Access levels define the boundaries to use the members and entities. Access levels define the boundaries to use the members and entities. As we told earlier, the hierarchy is private, package, protected, public. This is the ascending order of access levels. Private, package, protected, public. This is the ascending order of access levels. Private, package, protected, public. And all these access levels are keywords. All the access levels are keywords. All the access levels are keywords. Now we have discussed about 3 access levels. The only access level that we are going to discuss is protected. Let me see how the protected will work. Let's consider that I have a class person. Let me consider that I have a class A. I have a class A. Okay. The class A is there in the count.history.pack.demo. Okay. And I have another class let me consider that I have a class test. Now I have a class test which has I protected int I. Now test is a class which is public and it has a protected member which is int I. Okay. Now let me consider that this test, okay, this test is a public class and I am using test here. Okay, test equal to new test. Now what I am doing is I am trying to access the class test and in that I have a protected attribute I. So I am trying to print the value of protected attribute. Okay, now let me see. Understood, right? See, I have a test class. Where the test class is? Com HCU pack another. Now I'm trying to make use of the test inside this class. Did I import test? If I don't import test, will it work? If I don't import test, will it work fine or not? Why? This is there in com HCU pack another, and this package demo is there in com HCU pack demo. So are they in the different package or the same package? Different package. If they are in different package, then we should import it. And is test public? Is the test public? Yes. So we should import test, and we should remove this just because we are not using this right now. Now we have imported test and we are using test. Now let me see. This has a compiled error. It tells that I has a projected access in HU.another.test. It's telling that since I has a projected access level in the class test, you cannot use that outside the package. Okay? By default, the projected access level members can be used within the package without any restriction. By default, the members with projected access level can be used within the package without any restrictions. Okay, the members with projected access level can be used within the package without any restrictions. Within the package, we don't have any restrictions for projected members. Within the package, there are no restrictions for projected members. But if you want to make use of projected members outside the package, there are certain rules to follow. Within the package, there are no rules for projected members. The projected members can be used within the package. But if you want to make use of projected members outside the package, then there are some restrictions. The first thing is, if you want to use a protected members, if you want to make use of a protected member outside the package, then the entity should be public. The first thing is, the entity should be public. If you want to make use of a protected member I outside the package, the entity in which I present it should be public. Okay, that means the class test should be public here. We have a protected member I, and the I is present in test. So first, the test should be public. The first thing is that entity should be public, and second thing is that entity should be imported. The entity should be public and it should be imported. The third thing is that entity should be inherited. If you want to use the protected member outside the package, the protected members outside the package are available only to their subclasses. Protected members outside the package are available only to the subclasses. Protected members outside the package are available only for the subclasses. Is it the case for public? Is it the case for public? No. But protected has different meaning. Protected members are available only for the subclasses. But within the package there is no restriction like that. Within the package there is no restriction like that. we need not to inherit the class to access the protected members. Within the package, we need not to inherit the class to access the protected members. But if we are using a protected member outside the package, then we should inherit that class. If we are using the protected member outside the package, then we should inherit that class. That means the protected members are available outside the package only to their subclasses. Protected members are available outside the package only to their subclasses. Now class A extends to test, and let me define. Now can I access like this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Just because this projected member I will be inherited from test to A. The projected member I will be inherited from test to A. Okay? What's having? What is giving? I has a predicted access level in test. Again, why it is giving? Even we have imported. Why it is giving that I has a protected access level in test? See, we have imported the class, we have extended, and again it is giving the same thing. Okay? Just because the protected inherited member will act as a private member. The protected inherited member will act as a private member. The protected inherited member will act as a private member. So let's consider like I is private in A. If I is private in A, can I use I outside the boundaries of A? If let's consider like the attribute I is private in A. Now can we use I outside the boundaries of A? No, it's not possible. So the protected inherited member should be used only in the subclass. The protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. The protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. The protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. So, are we using I within the boundaries of the subclass? No, we are using I in some other class which is package demo, but it's not acceptable. We should use, let's consider like now, am I using I within the boundaries of subclass A? Yes or no? Yes. so it will be acceptable. So the protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. Okay, just because a protected inherited member will act as a private member. A protected inherited member will act as a private member. So it should be used only within the package. So let's consider that we have a protected method test. We have protected method test and test method of class test. Okay, and let me come here now. Can I access like this? Can I call like this? Now in the test.java, what is the access level of test method? Protected. Now definitely it will be inherited to the class A. Definitely the test method will be inherited to the class A. Okay. Now using class A as a reference, I am calling test method. Now will it be acceptable or no? Yes or no? No. Why it will not be acceptable? Just because protected inherited member will act as a private member. It tells that test has a protected access level in test. Okay, so you cannot use outside the boundaries of the entity. Now, can I call like this? Can I call like this? Yes or no? Can I call like this? Yes or no? Definitely we can call like this, just because test will be inherited and test will be available within the boundaries of this entity. So within these boundaries we can call test. Okay, so this will be compiled as well as executed. Let me go to the classes. Com dot so the value of I is 0 and test method is printed. So within the boundaries of the subclass we can use the protected members. We can use the protected members only within the boundaries of the subclass. Now let's consider like I have overridden the. Now did I override test method? Did I override the test method of the test class? What is the access level? Protected. Void test. Now can I call I am overriding the test method of the test class? Am I overriding the test method of the test class? In the A class? Here what is the access level? Protected. What's the return type? Void. What's the signature? Test with nogs. Now if you see in the A class, there is a test with nogs. In the super class there is a test with nogs, and in subclass also there is a test with nogs. Then the signature is the same and the method name is the same. If the method name is the same and signature is the same, he is overriding initiated? Yes. Then it will see the return type. What is the return type? Void. What is the return type in the super class method? Void. It's acceptable. What is the return type here? Public. And what is the return type in the superclass? Public. Sorry, protected. Is it acceptable? Yes or no? Yes. So now if I call a.test, Now will it give a compile them error or no? Now if I call a.test, will it give a compile them error or not? I am overriding the test method in class A, which is inherited from class test. Now in this case, will it give a compile them error or not? Yes or no? Is it giving a compile them error? It will never give a compile them error just because the test will not verify in the superclass. The test method will not consider the superclass inherited method. The inherited method from the superclass, just because in the subclass already there is a test method. In the subclass, if there is no test method, then it will try to get it inherited from the superclass. I am using the subclass reference, and already in the subclass we have test method. If in the subclass we have test method, it will not search for the superclass method. Now let's consider like I have test. Now will it be acceptable? Will it be acceptable? Yes or no? Will it be acceptable? Yes or no? It will give a compile time error just because the compiler, at the time of compilation, what the compiler will think? A is a type of test, and we are calling A test means we are calling, the compiler will try to link the test method to the class test. Okay. Now in the test class, what is the access level of test method? Projected. That means we are trying to directly bring, the compiler will think that where it is, this statement is trying to refer a test method in the test class, but what is the method access level? What is the access level of method? Projected. So it will give a compile time error just because the projected members will be available only to the subclasses. But are we using the subclass reference to access the test method? Are we using the subclass reference to access the test method? Or the superclass reference to access the test method? Subclass or superclass? Superclass reference. We should not use the superclass references. Okay? We should not use the superclass references, okay, to access the projected members. Definitely we should use the subclass references to access the projected members. In order to access the projected members, definitely we should use the subclass references. We should not use the superclass references. If you use superclass references to access projected members outside the package, if you use superclass references to access the projected members outside the package, then it will be a compile time error. If you use superclass references to access projected members outside the package, definitely it will be a compile time error. So in order to access projected members outside the package, first In that package, we should have a subclass to the entity. So currently what we have? We have a class A which is a subclass to test. We have class A which is a subclass to test. And the protected members will be inherited from test to A. Now will it be acceptable? The reference is of A. I am using subclass reference to access the protected members. Now will it be acceptable? Will it be acceptable or no? Yes or no? Now I am not using superclass references to access the protected members. I am using the subclass references to access the protected method. Now will it be acceptable or not? Now I am using subclass reference to access the protected members. In this case, will it be compiled or not? What's that? It will compile. That's why I told we should not refer only to the current things. We should refer even to the previous concepts also. Just 15 minutes back, what I told? Protected inherited member will act as a private member. See, now are we using the inherited protected member or overridden member? Is that method, test method overridden here? Is the test method overridden in the A class? Previously what we had means, we had test method overridden. So directly if I call test, it will refer to this test. But I don't have test method overridden now. Now if I call test method, first it will try to find the test method in the A class. Do we have the test method in the A class? Do we have test method in the A class? No. So it will try to find the test method in the test class. Now do we have test method in the test class? Yes or no? Yes. So where it will refer? It will try to refer to the protected method of the superclass. And this protected method will be inherited to the class A. That means protected inherited method. We are calling the protected inherited method here. Now, but I told a rule that protected inherited method or protected inherited member will act as a private member. Now, will it be compilable? Will it be compiled in that case? Understood? Understood? Sure? Will it be compiled in that case? It will not be compiled just because we are calling test method and the test method is not present in A, it is inherited from the test class. Okay? And in the test class, the access level is protected. So it is a protected inherited member. And protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. But we are using outside the subclass, which is a compile command. So protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. So it should not be used outside the subclass. Understood? Understood? Yes or no? Now will it be acceptable? Will it be acceptable? No. Why it will not be acceptable? Why it will not be acceptable? I doesn't have private access level. I doesn't have private access level in A. I will act like a private member, but it doesn't have a private access level. I in A it will act as a private member, but it doesn't have a private access level. Okay? Now, will it be acceptable? Yes or no? No. Why it will not be acceptable? First link, I has a protected access in test class. So, now the protected member will be inherited from test to A and even from A to B. The I will behave like a protected member, behave like a private member, so that it will be restricted to this class. But it doesn't mean that it attains a private access level. It will not attain a private access level. It will still have a protected access level and it will be still inherited to the class B. I will be inherited from test to A and from A to B. But it should be used only within the boundaries of B. It cannot cross the boundaries of B. Okay? If a protected member is inherited to the subclass, then it should be used only within the boundaries of that class. Okay? If a protected member is inherited, then it should be used only within the boundaries of the class. Let's consider like now, am I using within the boundaries of the class? Am I using I within the boundaries of the class? Yes or no? Yes. I am using I within the boundaries of the class. I is inherited. Let's consider the value of I is 10. Now, I will be inherited from test to A and from A to B. Okay? And what's the value of I here? What's the value of I? 10. Now what I am doing is I am assigning the value of I to k, and the value of k will be 10. Now can I access the value of k outside the class? Can I access k outside the class? Yes or no? Yes, just because k is a package access level member and it can be used within the package without any restriction. So the protected inherited member should be used within the boundaries of the subclass. It should not be cross the boundaries of the subclass. Okay? Now, even the member will be inherited from test to A as well as A to B. Like that, the protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the package. Within the boundaries of the subclass. If it is used within the boundaries of the subclass, there is no error. So the value of printed is 10. If it crosses the boundaries of the subclass, then it will be a compile time error. Now it will be a compile time error. Just because it has crossed the boundaries of the package. It has crossed the boundaries of the subclass. So we should use the protected members. We should use the protected members only in the corresponding subclasses, only within the boundaries of the subclasses. We should not use the protected members outside the classes, outside the subclasses. See, if I am inheriting test means I should use the protected members only within the boundaries of the A. And again, the protected member will be inherited from A to B. The protected member which is inherited from A to B can be used within the boundaries of B only. It cannot cross the boundaries of B. Like that, the protected members should be used within the boundaries of the subclasses only. Understood? Understood? So, the protected members which are inherited should not be used outside the boundaries of the subclasses.
I will act as a private member in class.
I will behave like a private member, but I will not have access level private. I will behave like a private member so that it will be restricted to that class itself. But actually it doesn't attain a private access level. Okay? Why I told like will act as a private member means it will be restricted to that entity. It will be used, it should be used only within the boundaries of the class A. For that reason, I told that it will behave like a private member. But actually, protected inherited member can be still inherited to the subclasses. A protected inherited member can be still inherited to the subclasses. Okay? A protected inherited member can be still inherited to their subclasses. A protected inherited member can be still inherited to their subclasses. Now, will it be acceptable? No? Why will it not be acceptable? But see in the class B, do we have any I? Yes. If we have I as an attribute in the current class as well as inherited, which one will be preferred? The current class member will be preferred or inherited member will be preferred? The current class member will be preferred. This will not give a compiled error just because we have I which is inherited and I which is present in the class as an attribute. Then if there is I in the current class as well as it is inherited, then which one will be preferred? The inherited member or the current class member? Definitely the current class member will be preferred. So it will not give a compiled error. Sorry. So it will compile successful. And what is the value printed? 0. Okay. So like that we need to see. Let's consider like a class A is there and class B is there which extends to A. Now class A is not a subclass to test. Class A is not a subclass to test. Let's consider like we have double D. Okay. Now what is the value printed? Null. Error. Why is error? We are importing test but not using that. If we are importing test and if we are not using that, it will not be a compiled error. It will be a warning. Okay, it will not be a compiled error. We can import the classes even if we are not using them. It will not be a compiled error. Now, will it give a compile time error or will it compile successful? Compile successful. Let us see. Is it compiling successful? Yes or no? Yes. Just because it is being used within the same package. Since it is being used within the same package, okay, it will not be a compile time error. I told that if the projected member is being used within the same package, if the projected member is used within the same package, then it can be used without any restrictions. But if that projected member is crossing the boundaries of the package, then only the restrictions will be applied. Okay? But if it was outside the package, if it was from outside the package, let's consider like we have class B which is extending to test. Now test is there, sorry, just strike off the previous thing. Strike off the previous thing. Now, within the package, within the same package, if you want to make use of a projected member, then no restriction is applied. But if you want to make use of a projected member which is inherited from other packages, then it will be error. Now, if I try to compile this, it will be a compile time error. Just because I has a projected access level in some other package, okay, and it is being inherited into the current package. So, within the package to access the projected members, there is no restriction. See, it is the same case, right? It is a projected and inherited to B, and I am using B to access T. It is the same case, but here both A and B are within the same package. Since they are within the same package, the projected inherited member can be accessed outside the class, outside the subclass, just because they are within the same package. Within the same package, projected members doesn't have any regulations or restrictions. But if the projected member is supposed to be used outside the package, then the projected member should be used only in the inherited classes, only in the subclasses, that too only within the boundaries of the subclasses. Okay? Within the same package, projected members doesn't have any restrictions. Within the same package, projected members doesn't have any restrictions. But projected members really have restrictions when they are being used outside the package. Understood? That's how the projected will be. That's how the projected will behave. It will not a private member, it will behave like a private member so that it cannot be used outside the class. In this scenario, are you asking? In this scenario, or when the project member is inherited from other package? In this scenario, or even if the project member is inherited from other package. Let's consider like even the project member is inherited from other packages, then also it will not become a private member. It will behave like a private member so that it should be used within the class. It will not become a private member. It will behave like a private member so that it will be used only within the subclass. Understood? It will be like that. Okay, and this is how the access levels are. Is protected confusing you? Is it confusing? It will be a little bit confusing, but if you are able to practice the things, then you can understand. Okay, we have 4 access levels: okay, private, default, protected, and public. Okay, private, default, protected, and public. Private is supposed to be used only within the boundaries of the class. Okay, a default is supposed to use only within the boundaries of the package. Protected by default, within the package there is no restriction. But if a protected member is supposed to use outside the package, then the entity should be public. Then if the protected member is supposed to use outside the package, then the entity should be public. Okay, the entity should be public, and the entity should be imported, and the class should be inherited. The class should be inherited, and the protected inherited member should be used only within the boundaries of the subclass. Okay, that's how the rules for protected will be there if the protected member is supposed to use outside the package. Okay, then if you want to make use of a public member outside the package, for public, the public access level is allowed for entities as well as for the members of entities. Okay, private and protected. Private and protected are allowed only for members of a class, but not for entities. Private and protected are allowed only for the members of a class. Okay, private and protected are allowed only for members of a class, but not for entities. For entities, either they can be packaged or they can be public. Okay, so if the access level of a member is public, then it can be used outside the package. Within the package, there is no restriction to access the public members. They can be used without any restriction. But if you want to make use of public members outside the package, then first thing is the class should be public and it should be imported. Those are the 2 rules to access the public members. But to access the public members, the class should be public, it should be imported, as well as the class should be inherited, and the members which are protected should be used only within the subclass. But for public members, there are no such rules. Okay, only the class should be public and the class should be imported. That's it. The class is public and it is imported, then the public members can be accessed outside the package. But for protected, the class should be public, it should be imported, and it should be inherited, and only within the boundaries of the inherited class we should access the protected members. That's the difference between public and protected. Both public and protected can cross the boundaries of the package, but after crossing the boundaries of the package, there are some restrictions. There are some differences between protected and public. Understood? That's how it will be. And this will complete the packages and access levels. There is one more thing related to packages. Let's consider that. Now we have COM, HCU, pack, another test. Let's consider like, let me save this as in another folder. Let me save this as package test and let me move this. In another I am deleting test. Now in another test we have test.java. Now package demo is there in one package, which is com HU pack demo, and address is there in com HU pack demo, which is package demo, and address are there in the same package. Okay, and person is there in com HU pack another. Now test is there in com HU pack another test. Now can I access person inside test, like this. See, person is there in com HCU pack another. Okay, test is there in com HCU pack another test. Now can I access person here? Now will the compiler consider com HCU pack another test as a child package of com HCU pack another? Some may get a doubt, right? Okay, it's com HCU pack another test. Okay, and person is there in com HCU pack another. But it resembles that it is a child just because this is common. Up to this it is common. Up to another it is common, right? See, if you see here, com HCU pack another. But here package structure is com HCU package another test. It resembles that it is a child package, but there is no concept of parent and child packages in Java. Okay, it will be considered as different package only. If the package is changing, if the package structure is changing, then it will be considered as different package. If the package structure is changing, then it will be considered as different package. Even though it resembles like a child package, but there is no concept of child packages. If the package structure is changing, then it will be considered as different package only. So, if we have com HCU pack another is a different package, and com HCU pack another dot test is different package. So, com HCU pack another. This is considered to be a different package, and in another we have test. So even this will be considered as a different package. So this is a different package and this is a completely different package. And there is no parent-child relationship between these two packages. There is no parent-child relationship between these two packages. Okay? Between any package structures in Java, we don't have a parent-child relationship. If we have different package structure, then those two will be considered different packages. So, com dot HC dot pack dot another will be one sided, and com dot HU dot pack dot another dot test will be some other side. So these two are different packages. So if that is the case, can I access person here? Can I access person here like this? Yes or no? No, just because they belong to different packages. Now, is it impossible to access person inside test? Is it impossible to access person inside test?
No.
Is it impossible to access person inside test? Yes or no? No, it's possible to access person inside test. How I can make use of person inside test? By importing. Just import. What's the package structure of person? So like this, we can access the members. So there is no concept of parent and child packages. Each and every package is different. So if we are making use of some class in some other package, then we should import that, and that class should be public. Okay? Got it? And this will complete the packages and access levels. And the next concept that we are going to discuss is exception handling. Very simple. The next concept that we are going to discuss is exception handling. Okay? What is the exception? When an exception arises, okay, and how an exception arises, okay, and which scenarios are considered to be exceptions, okay, which scenarios are considered to be exceptions by the compiler and by the runtime environment, okay, and how to handle those exceptions, okay. Those are all the things that we are discussing exception handling. It's very important concept for interviews as well as when developing applications. For interviews as well as for developing the application, exception handling is very important. Exception handling is as important as object-oriented programming concepts, as important as inheritance. So, you should learn exception handling if you are a Java developer. Definitely, there will not be even a single interview without the questions on exception handling. That's for sure. Okay? Even they may or may not ask about the object-oriented programming concepts, but any interviewer will never skip exception handling. Definitely, there will be questions from exception handling in any written test or in any interview. That's for sure. So it's that much important. Try to concentrate and learn this. Okay? We'll start iteration tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow at the same time? 6. Okay? Is Suresh is there? Venkat. Please ensure that the key will be available on time. Okay? Call that guy and ask him to make it available by this time. Okay?